Last year, Nebraska became the first conservative state to repeal the death penalty in over 40 years. After Governor Ricketts vetoed the bill to abolish the death penalty, the legislature overrode him with a 30-19 vote. Now it is up to the voters to decide.
The states in blue are the states that have banned or abolished the death penalty before or after the year 2000. Nebraska could become just the 20th of those states in the United States of America to ban the death penalty. Only 37 people have been executed in Nebraska by the death penalty, and since the introduction of the electric chair in 1959, that number dwindles to only 4 men. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the execution of one of those 4 men, Jonathan Joubert.
Joubert pled guilty in 1984 to the killings of 3 boys, 11-year-old Ricky Stenson in Portland, Maine, 13-year-old Danny Joe Eberly in Bellevue, Nebraska, and 12-year-old Christopher Walden in Papillion, Nebraska. Joubert was described as very intelligent but always troubled. In all 3 murders, he stripped the young boys down to their underwear and tied them up, killing them with a knife. This earned him the nicknames the Nebraska Boy Snatcher and the Woodford Slasher. Current Omaha World Herald legislative reporter Paul Hamill was one of the witnesses to Joubert's execution.
So you sit down and the curtains close, and then suddenly you see the thing open, and here's John Joubert strapped into the electric chair. And I remember he mouthed like, "I love you," to this woman that he had been corresponding with. And that didn't last too long.
Joubert's case was unique because he murdered in 2 separate states, one with the death penalty and one without. In Maine, he was given a life sentence behind bars with no chance of parole. However, in Nebraska, where the death penalty is a question mark now, Joubert was executed in the electric chair.
You can't really see, his eyes, you can't really see his face. And then you hear this really dull thunk, and that's the charge, and you could just see his body, rearing up into this electric chair. And they did that 3 times.
John Joubert's execution was a messy one. He had blisters behind his ears, burning all over his head, and burning on his legs. Some witnesses at the execution claimed to have seen smoke rising from his body as he was being electrocuted to death. Because of John Joubert's case and many other executions with the electric chair, it has been discontinued as a method of the death penalty. Now, Nebraskans need to decide whether or not to discontinue the death penalty altogether, and whether or not they'd like to join these 19 states behind me. For Star City News, I'm Christian Folsom.